Hi everyone, so for this transition I'll be showing you how to do it in both Element 3D and Cinema 4D. Timestamps will be in the description so you can skip to whatever program you use, or you can just select the chapters at the bottom of this video. First I'll be showing this with Element 3D. So we want this transition to be 4 beats, so I'm just gonna skip to my 4th beat here and click N on my keyboard to trim the composition. That way when we preview it, it's just going to preview this part rather than the entire edit. Next, you want to import whatever picture you want to kind of mask out and you want the face to pop off of, and just increase the size as needed, fit it to your composition and pre-compose. Now you want to just create a mask around your person. So just mask it out like this and don't feather the mask. Now you want to zoom into the face and just create a mask around the face. Now you want to just duplicate this layer, and it'll help if you rename these. So rename the first one as body and the second one as face. Now click the face layer and click M on your keyboard and delete the first mask, and that should be the mask surrounding the entire body. Just delete it. Now just import your picture that you want to pop up and fit it to your composition and pre-compose. Now create a solid layer and add element to that solid layer. Now open up custom layers, custom text and mask, and for path layer 1 select the body, and for path layer 2 select the face. Close that and go to the custom texture maps, and for layer 1 just select the body, for layer 2 select face, and for layer 3 select pop-up. Now open the scene setup. Now click extrude and your mask without the face should pop up. Now you want to click this arrow and select the bevel. Go to the picture here and where it says diffuse, none set, select that. Then select the arrow and select custom layer 1. If your picture doesn't pop up, try these solutions. It has worked for other people. If you find another solution, please add it to the post. I will link it in the description. It helps everyone out a lot. Now click the extrusion model again and go to this checkerboard and select UV. It automatically censors my picture, but if yours still isn't centered, then you can change the UV offset. The first one changes it horizontally while the second one changes it vertically. If your picture is stretched out, then you can change the UV repeat. Again, the first one changes it horizontally while the second one changes it vertically. Once your picture is in place, go back to the bevel and go to the first tab and change your perspective so you can see the back of your thing, and you can just increase the extrude as much as you want. And once you have something like this, click extrude again, go to the first tab if you aren't here already, and here where it says custom pad, change it to custom pad 2. And currently we can't see it, but if we click this blue square where the first extrusion model is, it'll disable that one, and now we can look at the little face. So again, just extend this to add your picture and change the texture mapping to UV. Go back to the bevel and make sure that the extrusion is the same amount as your first one. Now click off this little square again and we can move up the little face so that it's actually where it's supposed to be. It would help to rename the model, so just right click and click rename to do that. Now to add the object that pops up, click create. I'm just going to add a cube, and I'm just going to disable the first 2 models so that we can look at our shape here. If you want your cube to have that kind of sharp look to it, change the chamfer segments to 1 and change the chamfer to 0.16 or somewhere around that. Then click on no smoothing. If you want more of a flat picture, go to the size XYZ and on this last value, hold it and drag it to the left, and that'll decrease it, and you can just decrease this as much as you want. If you want a pyramid, then click create and select the cone and just change the sides to 4 and select no smoothing, and you can just increase the radius to widen it some more. Now to add our picture to this, just select the arrow and click on default and just add your picture the same way that we added it to the last ones. Now that we have our 3 objects, we want to separate them into groups so that we can keyframe them separately. So just select this folder. For this first one, just drag the face onto that folder and drag the group folder above the first main folder and change the number to 2. Then go back to the first group folder and create another folder. This time you want to drag your object that's going to pop up and put it under the group folder and drag that one above as well and change the number to 3. Now you should have one group for just the body, one group for just the face, and one group for just your object that's going to pop up. Now just click OK, and you can hide all of the other layers. We don't need to see those. Now to keyframe this, of course, turn on motion blur first, then go to layer and create a camera layer. Now create a null layer and link the camera to that null. Make the null a 3D layer and click R and keyframe the X, Y, and Z rotation. Now keyframe the position and right click to separate the dimensions. Now click U to see all of the keyframes and easy ease all of these. Now go to your second beat and increase the X rotation to about 50 to 60, something like this. Then increase the Y rotation. I forgot to keyframe the scale in the beginning, so go back and just keyframe the scale. Then go back into the second beat and just use the scale to zoom in. Now to bring it closer to the face, decrease the Y position and increase the X position. To bring it up some more, just increase the Z position. You can copy my values here and just adjust it for your edit. Keep in mind though that my composition settings are 1080 by 1080, so if yours are different, then your position values will be different. Once you have this keyframed, go back to the element layer and select the world transform and create a world transform null. Now go back to the beginning and same thing as we did earlier, just keyframe all of the rotations and the positions and separate the dimensions, and that's all you need. You don't need to keyframe the scale for this one. Then just easy ease all of the keyframes. This time you want to go to the ends of your clip, so at the 4th beat. So first you want to decrease your Z rotation to about -90 and also decrease your X rotation so that it kind of flattens it out. Now you want to increase the X position to kind of move away from it and increase the Y position to move it towards the middle. This is going to take a bit of playing around to really get it in the middle. Again, you can just copy my keyframes to kind of guide yours. And now we need to add graphs to these, so just copy my graphs. We're going to add the same graph to all of the world transform keyframes. And same thing for the null layer, just copy my graphs. Now to actually keyframe the face and the thing that pops up, we can just close these layers and go back to our element layer. Go to group 2 and create a group null. For this one, just separate the position dimensions and just keyframe the Z position. Go to your second beat and just increase the Z position so that it comes off of your thing. And easy ease these. And just copy my graph. Now go back to your elements layer and go to group 3 and create a group null for that. For this one, you also want to separate the position dimensions, and you just want to keyframe the Z position and keyframe all of the rotations and set the X rotation at 90. And you also want to increase the Z position so that it's not seen. Then just go to your second beat and just decrease the Z position so that it comes out like this, and you can decrease the scale. And to move it more towards the face area, just play with the X position and the Y position. So decrease the Y position to bring it closer, and also decrease the X position to bring it more towards the middle. Now to keyframe the Z position, of course, easy ease, and just copy my graph. Now go to the ends of your clip and just increase the Y rotation. I'd say get it to at least 1 full rotation. This just depends on how much you want it to rotate. And now just turn on motion blur for the element layer. And that's actually all for this transition. Now you can just add a background. I'll give you an example of one background to do for this. So go back to scene setup and go to the first group folder and just create this little ring and go to the arrows and turn the first value to 90 and just increase the size. Then unlock it and change this middle value to like 2000 or just a big number and create a cylinder here. Same thing, just rotate the first value by 90 and increase the size and just push it back. And so it acts like a little cap for our thing here. Now to add color to this, go to the little place to add a picture. And I'm just going to click load texture to load the picture from my files. And I'm just using this plasma background. You can just screenshot it. And here at the bottom left, just drag the little sphere onto the torus model. And okay. And there you go. To do this on Cinema 4D, first I recommend you to watch my previous Cinema 4D videos if you haven't watched them already, because if there's something that I don't explain in depth in this video, such as like making a mask or importing your picture, it's because I've already talked about it in the other videos. But anyways, to start off, go up here to the left where it says cameras and select front, then go to options, configure, back, and select the three dots to upload a picture that you want to mask out, the picture where the face is going to pop off of. It's best if your picture is square. Even if you're using a rectangle picture, just pre-compose it on After Effects to make it square. If your picture is square, it's easier to adjust it when adding your picture onto the object. But anyways, I'm just going to select this pen tool and just create kind of a mask like you would do on After Effects. Once you finished your outline, just click anywhere around this gray area to unclick the first outline. That way you can make another one, and this time just make it around the face. And now you should have two separate outlines for just the face and then for the entire person. It would help if you rename the outline so you know which is which, so just select it and press enter or return on your keyboard and just rename it. Now that we've got our two outlines, go back to the cameras and select perspective and select this box twice to create two extrusions and just drag each outline under one. Click the extrusion and just increase this last value as much as you want and make sure the extrusion for both the body and the face are the same. Now to add our picture to this, just create a new material and just import your picture and just drag it to both extrusions. To adjust the first one, I'm just going to uncheck the first extrusion, that way it'll hide it. Then just select the material for the body extrusion and just adjust it as needed. Now that I've adjusted the picture for the body, I'm going to uncheck this extrusion and recheck the extrusion for the face, and now I can adjust this picture. Now that I've adjusted that picture, I'm just gonna recheck the first extrusion, and it's gonna look a little weird, but what we're going to do is hold down this little sphere with a cage and select bool. Now you want to drag your face extrusion under the bool, then do the same thing for the extrusion with the body. And make sure that it's in this order, that the body is on top and then the face is on the bottom. Now what you want to do is select the extrusion for the face and just increase this last number by about 5 or 10. Then just drag this blue arrow forward until it creates that hole. Now you want to hold Command or Control on your keyboard, select the face extrusion and drag it under the bool so that it's outside like this. If yours looks weird like this and there's an obvious cut, it's just because the pictures aren't aligned. As you can see, like the eyebrows here don't align, so just adjust the material for your face. So here's how my picture looks after I adjusted it. It's a lot better than earlier. And now we can create the object that's going to pop up from under the face. So first I'm just going to hide these two objects that we have by selecting this little dot and clicking it twice till it turns red. And now just hold down the cube to see all of your options. I'm just going to create a cube and create a new material and just add your picture. If you want your cube to be more of a flat picture, then select this cube with the orange highlight and just drag this little square to reduce the size. If you wanted to have that sharp edge look, then check the fillet and change the fillet subdivision to 1 and increase your fillet radius to about 15 to 25, depends on how sharp you want it to look. Now I'm just going to unhide the 2 other objects by selecting the red dots, and I'm just going to decrease the size of my cube object so that it fits the size of the face. And change this middle rotation value to 90. And then just drag it so it's behind the extrusion like this. And now I'm going to add a camera. First, I'm just going to zero out all of the coordinates. Then I'm just going to configure my panel, so select this little square here. And on this top right one, just select cameras and perspective. Then select panel and arrangement and either 2 view stacked or 2 view side by side, whichever one you prefer. Then on our top panel, just change the default camera to camera. And on this bottom panel, change the display to the first one. That way we can control the camera on this bottom panel and we can see what the camera is pointed towards in the top panel. Now I'm going to highlight our objects and group them together. This transition is going to take up 4 beats, so change your Cinema 4D frame count to match those. Mine is going to be 60 frames, yours might be a little more or less depending on the audio that you're using. So first, just position your camera so that your person is right in the center. Then just select the key to keyframe all of it. And same thing for the null, keyframe it at the very beginning. First, we're going to keyframe the null, so I'm going to go halfway through my clip, so that's the 30th frame for me. Again, it could be a little more or less depending on your audio. Here, I'm going to change the X rotation to -90 and the Y rotation to +90. And select the key to keyframe those. Then go 1 frame before the end of your clip and change the Y rotation to 180, and you might adjust this value a little later, that's fine. And again, just select the key to add a keyframe. Now for the camera, at this same frame, we're just going to move it up and just move it closer to the head so it's positioned like this. And again, just add a keyframe for that. I'm just going to rotate my null a little bit. And now we can just close the bottom panel, and this is what it should look like. You may want to go back to your first keyframe for the null and just turn it a little bit so it's pointed more towards the camera. Now we can keyframe the face being removed. So open up the null and select the extrusion. Go to the beginning of your clip and just set a keyframe. Then go to the middle again and just raise it up like this and add a keyframe. And same thing for your object that's going to pop up. So at the beginning, set a keyframe and go back to the middle and raise it up. And at the end, again, go 1 frame before the end of your clip. Just rotate the green line as much as you want. You can keep increasing it depending on how much you want it to rotate, and set a keyframe. And this is how it'll look. Now we're going to add graphs to this, so open the F-curve timeline. First, we'll deal with the null keyframe. So the position X, Y, and Z shouldn't have a graph because we didn't change those. For the rotations though, just copy my graph, just add a smooth graph, don't make it too sharp. For the Y rotation, you should have 2 sets of graphs like this. So again, just copy my graphs. And those are all for the null graphs. I'm not going to add a graph for the camera because right now it looks fine to me. And lastly, we'll do the keyframes for the face. Lastly, we just need to add a background and lighting to this. So for the background, what I'm going to do is create a torus ring. And I'm just going to rotate the middle value by 90. And I'm just going to increase the size. And while selecting the torus, I'm going to type C on my keyboard, and now we can drag the green size to make it longer like this. Then I'm just going to create a cylinder and rotate that by 90 and also increase the size and just move it back so it acts as like a cover for our little tunnel here. Now I'm going to highlight both of those objects and drag it under the null and create a material for the background. And I'm just using this plasma background. You can just screenshot it and use it. And just drag those to both of the objects. And lastly, just add a light. And there you go. And now you can render it.